So I'm up here in Skokie, and I don't understand why they wouldn't expand the Skokie Swift. So there's the dead end, and let me just show you all the way down here that you have the high power lines. So they share the land with the power company, and this is electric rail, so they naturally put the rail under the high powered lines. See the high powered lines? But they were already there carrying electricity, and I don't know where it's originating from, where the power plants are, but the high powered lines, as you can see, this is where the Skokie Swift goes along. So this is all rail line. And let me go back up, but you got a nice little trail right by the high power lines. And since these people are out here, but have they ever tested the magnetic field from the high power line? Truly. But you need to test it in the different weather, and then you need to test it when the air conditionings and that are on the highest. So the hottest day, you need to test the high power lines when it has its greatest drain on the system, greatest demand, and see how the electrical field is. So again, let me turn here, but you need to see how the electrical field is, and you need to test it when the demand is the greatest. In the winter, demand isn't that great, but now Skokie, how many electric cars can you buy? Truly. And they don't have energy saver like they do on refrigerators and other things, that they all went to energy saving systems, but they don't have that with electric cars per se. Energy savers. Truly. So the battery technology can store more energy as you upgrade it, but the cars, they can't. Right? So how are they trying to improve the energy efficiency of the car, right? But Skokie and the city of Chicago and everything, like in China, you can't sell more electric cars than the system can handle. And the problem is that it puts incredible strain on the infrastructure plugging in those electric cars. Like everybody works first shift and they come home and they plug in the electrical car. Smart grid technology says, no, you can't plug in the car. You have to wake up at 2 a.m. and plug it in. You can plug it in, and so they have to tell people, you can plug it in now, you can't plug it in. You can plug it in now, you can't plug it in. So they have to decide who can and can't plug in the vehicle. And then they have to have some appeal process. Well, I need it because there's a potential emergency, like my wife is pregnant, and I need the car fully charged. Or do you say, screw you, call an ambulance? Truly. How far are you from the nearest paramedic station? Can't plug in the car, call the paramedics. Truly, they're going to have to figure this out, because these grids can only handle so much, and they get very, very hot. And you don't want to blow substations. And so you got to understand, she's a beautiful girl. I need a girl. But here is where I'm going to show you, and I'm just going to pull in here. And so you get this, and bus only. So I'll turn around right quick. But see the power grid? Straight down. Now you have perfect expansion. Starbucks at the train station, go figure. Now you get perfect expansion. Just continuing the power lines. You don't need to do anything to the land. The power lines go down, straight down the street. And let's see how far they go down, since I'm the post this on YouTube, I guess, and getting a ticket for driving around with the cell. I don't know what that cop in Wheeling was contributing, but yeah, that girl, beautiful girl. Yeah, very attractive young lady. That's for sure. But that's a side note. So here we should be able to go along the power line. And this would be a boom to this area. Meaning, truly, interconnecting the city and that, another way to get in. And this is along the lakefront. So this is closer to the lake. We don't have any Evanston and Northwestern. There's no rail in that way per se. Commuter rail, as far as I know. And this just keeps on going down. So I wonder how far this goes down. Does it go all the way to Buffalo Grove? Because the power lines might go all the way down. So I'm wondering how far the power lines go. I got an hour and 33 minutes to use. So I'm wondering, soccer field. But understanding the grid system, as you know, my friends on YouTube, who I place this, I have a bunch of engineer friends on YouTube. Yeah, Grady does the power grids. He should hook up with my other friend that does the nuclear power plants. And then my other friend who's in Great Britain needs both the nuclear guy and that he's the wind guy. He does the wind and alternative energy per se. And those guys, they do different things, so they can work as a consortium. But now we go into the Old Orchard Mall, and the power grid still has to, it doesn't vanish, it doesn't end, and I don't think it goes underground, does it? Or does it? Does it go down into a different direction? So it's not anymore seen. Stupid me. Oh, there's the telephone poles. And so you can't carry it out, but you can get very close to Old Orchard Mall. Truly. So it changes and it moves more into the telephone pole. So I guess you can shut this off, but you can get very near an Old Orchard Mall stop, not too far from Old Orchard Mall. So that would be the true end of the line. And too much to do eminent domain, but at least you get the Old Orchard, and Old Orchard Mall would support it. And do you know how many retailers are outside Old Orchard Mall? This is a shopping mecca center with lots of hotels and everything else. The only thing they never did is build out the entertainment complex like Rosemont. Rosemont had the entertainment complex, then they built the mall. And they built the discount mall. Truly, it's a discount mall. This is not a discount mall. This is more mid to premium brand mall. And they have an incredible amount of stores around it. So, again, this is where we had the Taste of Korea. So they have the VIP cinema. But this is a premium mall. And so you got the Uncle Julio's up here and the Macy's and many things. I love this. You know, this is the same as Woodfield Mall, meaning it's an outdoor mall. And then you got Oakbrook Mall, which is an outdoor mall. Those are huge outdoor malls like Old Orchard. My sister used to come down here all the time to shop at Macy's and that, and in the mall. And I used to come here all the time with Jennifer Kim. And the funny thing is, my sister and Jen, they got along great. They had a lot to talk about. They actually got along really well. And they had a lot of similarities. So they used to have good conversations when they were together. So they ended up at the same threading shop. My sister did the Indian girl, and Jen used to use her too for, eyelashes and that. So that was in Skokie. And then there's a cobbler over here who I took my shoes to that Jen used all the time. That's in Old Orchard. That he's really good. So, and she lives right on Dempster, which is behind me, up the street from Old Orchard. And so she spent a lot of time, even when we lived in the city, she went out here a lot to shop because her mom still lived out here. And so this is where she would go to the mall. She actually didn't shop in the city. She didn't go to the malls in the city. She came out here and shopped. So all her mall shopping was done here at Old Orchard. She traveled from the city. She has to come see her mom and father and that. And her sister moved back home for a little bit from school. And Charles was leaving for school. But she'd come out here all the time. And this is where she'd do all her shopping. She actually never really shopped in the city at all, just a grocery store. She came out here for all her shopping. So even came up here when she used to shop at Saks, and she'd come up here to pay her Saks credit card payment at the same time. Yeah, she'd pay her credit card payments at the store. The store used to allow, like I used to go into Dillard's and pay my credit card payments. Instead of mailing it, I just go into Dillard's and pay. This used to be Saks. And then downstairs, they had on the bottom floor Saks Fifth Avenue. I used to know a lot of people from Saks. So I don't know why they pulled out. They don't have like Lord & Taylor. They don't have a Neiman Marcus. Truly. So they have those at Northbrook Court. But Lord & Taylor caters to an older clientele. And then they have Nordstrom's here, and Northbrook Court doesn't have a Nordstrom's, but both have Macy's. Both have Macy's. This has a Nordstrom's. Northbrook Court has a Neiman Marcus and Lord & Taylor. This doesn't. This has a Saks. Northbrook Court didn't have a Saks. So this had a Nordstrom's and a Saks. And Northbrook Court had a Lord & Taylor and Neiman Marcus. Truly, Northbrook Court doesn't have the Cheesecake Factory or California Pizza. So the malls are different. Northbrook Court is primarily an indoor mall. This mall is an outdoor mall. So it's a big difference between this and Northbrook Court. So they don't really compete. Now, I don't know what they're going to do, because if I was them, I make sure that I'm not duplicating Northbrook Court. Why? Because I want people from Highland Park and Deerfield and Lake Forest and others to come down here. Because even in the Vernon Hills Mall, They don't have a Saks or a Nordstrom. They have a Macy's too. But they didn't have that. So it was different than the Vernon Hills Mall in the Vernon Hills area. So why did they get rid of the Saks? I would have expanded to Saks. And now by my house, they have an LL Bean, but that's not up in Vernon Hills or Northbrook Court. So they would come down here for the LL Bean or go all the way out to Buffalo Grove. It's for the LL Bean. So how are they setting this up? And she looks nice. How are they setting this up to be different? So the Pottery Barn, I don't know. So some of the stuff I don't know, but when you're looking at this, you're trying to set this up uniquely for this community that brings people out, but this community goes up that way, and it's called reciprocity. So this stays uniquely Skokie and Old Orchard, and it has its value proposition. And Vernon Hills and Northbrook Court, they have their value proposition. So they have different. I went here with Laird took us. We had a good dinner. I enjoyed it. I've never been to Uncle Julio's, is new. But again, and then the Bloomies, the Bloomingdales. So they don't have it at Northbrook Court, and they don't have a Bloomingdale's at Vernon Hills. So again, different. Saks, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom, big retailers, LL Bean. That's all the way out in Buffalo Grove. And we used to come in to have lunch at Nordstrom's. Yeah, in the food court. They have a cafe in Nordstrom's. We used to meet up. My sister liked going to the cafe in Nordstrom's. Bar Sienna, I really don't know a lot about. But we used to come up here. I meet my sister and my mom. And then sometimes she'd have one of the kids with her. And we come up here to Northbrook Court for lunch. And it was a good lunch. I enjoyed the meal. The food at the restaurant in Nordstrom's was good. And so Macy's, Bloomies, Cinema, Purple Garage. So how are they doing this value proposition and making sure they're not duplicating, and so they can advertise up? Now the thing with WGN, they have to understand, if you're advertising on them, you want to bring people out from the city and down from the burbs, right, into Old Orchard. So you have to figure out what you're going to advertise is your different value proposition. People need to go Christmas shopping and that, and you have things. So again, I don't understand why they're getting rid of the Saks. And there's no Barney's. They could bring in a Barney's of New York. We lost Barney's. Barney's would fit in perfect here. But I don't know why Barney's pulled out of downtown Chicago. But Dominic used to shop at Barney's extensively. I've been in it, I think, just with Dominic's. So they got a Buffalo Wild Wings. And again, I don't think that's at Vernon Hills or Northbrook Court. So they got a P.F. Chang up there. They don't have a P.F. Chang here. P.F. Chang at Northbrook Court. There's no P.F. Chang here. They have a Cheesecake Factory, but that's not Asian. So I don't know what they have in Asian cuisine here. And it doesn't pair up also with the streets of Woodfield. They have other Asian cuisine. So this Westfield, it's different. And then they don't have any of this at the Niles Mall. The mall in Niles has none of this either. It's totally different. So they don't have any of this at the Niles Mall. And the Niles Mall is totally different than Old Orchard, Vernon Hills, and others. So they don't duplicate each other, actually. And this used to be the back drive up to Saks. And you parked here and you walked in the back door to Saks Fifth Avenue. Saks Fifth Avenue. Saks and Saks Fifth Avenue. So why did they take out Saks? Because there is a Saks on Michigan Avenue in Chicago. But where else is there a Saks? I don't understand. So, anyways, I'm going to leave the video here. But I don't understand where there's a Saks, and you got to look at the different malls and make sure that these municipalities, you're running the malls, you don't want to duplicate, and you want to offer different features. And so each of them uniquely has their value proposition. And so the communities work together. There is some overlap, but in the main stores, there's no overlap. So they actually work nicely together. And then that means people commute right up and down the Kennedy Expressway. Not the Kennedy, right up and down the Edens or 94 Expressway. So it's good. The problem here is the east-west. There is no east-west expressway. So you can't get from 53 to here. You got to go from 53 all the way into the city and then back up. If you're doing the highway kind of loop, you can't cut over. So the problem, and David knows this, kudo, there's a problem that there's no east-west expressway. So attaching, Sheridan Road to the 94, the Edens to 53, and the Kennedy or the Jane Addams. So it doesn't exist. So the most you get is the Peloton, and that's all the way up there. So anyways, leaving the video.